Hello all. So today we'll be talking about a community question, which is I would like to title that it as how to use system audit fields in Business Central. So if you don't know, in Business Central version 17, which is 2022 release wave 2, Microsoft introduced four system audit fields, which were system created uh, at, system modified by, and system modified at, which will help you to filter out certain records based on when they were created, when they were modified, or who created them and who last modified them. So, in the previous versions of Business Central or in Dynamics Nav, these fields were not available. So, uh, this was a very common customization that most of the customers had. So, today we'll try to understand what the problem statement is. We'll see the question in the community, and then we'll try to solve that problem. So, this is Saradhani signing in, and we'll talk about the smart fields today. So, let's get into it. So, let's first look at the question. So, the question is available on the community portal here, which says, I need to display the username in the system created by field instead of GUID in Business Central. What is the way to do it? So, let's first understand what these fields are, and then we'll move forward from there. So, let's log into Business Central and let's go to a page. Let's say vendors. So when you zoom in on this record by going into the help page and then help and support, in there you can do inspect page and data. Now every table, either Microsoft table, an ISV table, even a temporary table, gets four set of fields by default by the system, which are tagged with system. The first is system ID, which is used for some other purposes. We'll come to that later someday. But then these are the four fields that we are talking about in question today. The system created at, which means when this record was created, the date and the time, and then the system created by, who created it, and stores the GUID of it. And it is empty because it's a Cronus demo data. Then the system modified it means when it was last time modified, and then the system modified by is who modified it with the GUID of that user. It shows it here, but when you look at the data, it actually only stores the GUID for the user who modified it or created it. So for the demo purpose, let's do this. Let's create a new vendor so that we have that in the system created that. So as soon as I select the template that I want to create vendor from, and I have to look at the system fields, I'll see that there is a system created by, and then there is also a system modified by, which is the same time when it was created and modified, considered. So here I'll say demo vendor, and let's fill in some basic detail. Address, let's say test, India, IN, if that's a country, yes. Dehradun, I don't know if that's a city or not, 248013, and so on and so forth. But right now, if you look at it, it still says the same time. So let's close this record, which will automatically trigger an instance of modify. When I click on it, it now still shows the same time of 12:57 because I guess that's the time right now. Let me try changing something else on it. Let me try doing a block on this. Let's come back. And now if you see, there's 1 minute difference between this record, this value and this value, which is based on when it was last modified. Now, for the question's sake, the the person who asked that question would like to see either the values in the list view or maybe in the card view somewhere. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to achieve that in our own source control repo, which is available on my GitHub. And I already have created a folder called System Audit Fields. So let's start understanding how we can utilize it. So the ID that you see here, which is starts with 201AF8AF8, is what you can find on the users page. And in the users page, you will not find it on the ID. You will find it on the unique GUID for this user, which is this. So the user security ID of the user table is what it is being referred on every time when a record is created or modified in the system. So this GUID cannot be changed. You can't delete a user in Business Central, so you can maximize disable it. So this GUID will always point to this user, either it is disabled or enabled. So we just have to link this GUID to the page or to the table where we want to show that record, and we'll utilize it. So hope the solution is clear. Let's start building the solution. So here, let me create a new table extension first, and I'll call it as SDH vendor, and that will extend the vendor table. And this is table extension here, and then I'll name some field as an SDH created by an SDH modified by. We'll use the data type as code and code, and then the length of the code will be 50, but that's what the length of the username is. And the field data classification is customer content and customer content. Let's finish this. So this creates a table extension with two fields in there, but these will not be the normal field. These will be the flow field. So let's change the field class to be flow field. As soon as you do that, you don't need the data classification there, and then we'll write the cal formula to calculate this. Now, how we want to calculate it? We want to look up what we want to look up, the username from the user table. Okay, but what would be the linking of it? We would like to link it where the user security ID of the user table is equal to the field. What is the field? System created by. So this will give me the username for the created by. In the same way, I'll just copy these two things and paste it here. And here I'll link it to system modified by. Okay, that sounds cool. So now we have two fields here. I'll just rename this object here. Let's put it into the Microsoft sequence table extension. And then I'll also add a page extension into it. Okay, and that will be again called SDH vendor, let's say card, and we'll modify the vendor card. In this, I would like to add on the layout maybe a group for audit. So I'll need to see where I would like to add that group. Let's go into the actual page, and every group that is available in this page is inside the content. So let's pick the content and do a add last on the content page. What we want to add? We want to add a group. There's no snippet for group. Let's do that. That's simple. We'll call this group as system audit, and inside that I'll give it a caption called system audit. Okay, inside that I'll add the two fields that we need, or maybe more field, but let's do created by, or just to keep it simple, let's do SDH created by and modified by. And then let's also add the date and time, which are the normal fields which can be added easily. So let's add system created at and modified at, and click OK. So now I have all the four audit fields in the page in a separate group. And if everything goes well, I should be able to see these values, actual values, into my vendor card page. So let's change this and do a page extension of it. Now this is ready. Everything looks good. We are good here. We have added the audit field. Now we will go ahead and try to publish it here to see what it looks like. So, okay, so let's do a publish and see what we are able to see in our center client once this extension get deployed. Again, this for the demo purpose. Don't ever publish anything from the VS Code directly. You should always create a app file from your source control using CI/CD and then deploy it on your customer environment. This is just for the demo purpose that I'm directly publishing from the VS Code. Okay, so as we were talking, the extension got published and it should right now run the customer list page because that's what is set on my launch.json. Once you're here, we'll start navigating to our vendor list. Here we are. And then in the vendor that we just created a while ago, let's open that vendor. In this, we should be able to see a new group called System Audit, which will show me who created by, who modified it, and when it was created and when it was modified. Let's test modification again. Let's change it to demo vendor 1. Now, if everything goes change, it will change it to the modified type. You should surely add captions into this. I should also add caption into my table so that it doesn't look like STH. There's no need of prefix on the caption. So that way, now if I publish it, it'll tell me the right captions. And when you're adding flow field, there's one more best practice to set it to editable false. I said nobody can modify it, but you should always set them to editable false. And unless you have a way to kind of modify those. So once they get published, we should be able to see not this one without the caption change or editability. Let's get into it and let's go into this. Now, once this gets published, I should be able to see my vendors and with all my system out fields. Now, because these are system fields, I just demoed it on the vendor card or on the vendor page. But you can actually uh, do the similar exercise or similar kind of field addition on any of the field where it makes sense. Now, the use case for Microsoft is not like this. They would like it to use for data filtration purposes when you're interacting with APIs and all. But if there is a need of any of these four fields into your extension, this is the way you can utilize it to show users who have lastly modified the record and at what date and time they have modified it. So, how with this, I guess I hope that the person who is asking this question gets a reply for that question and is be able to use the audit fields. This is a quick recap what we learned today. The system audit fields were added in version 17 or Business Center 2022, oh sorry, 2020 release wave 2, where Microsoft added system created at, system modified at, system created by, and system modified by in every Microsoft and custom ISV temporary table. All these tables will by default get these fields in that table because these are system fields. To utilize these, you just have to create only for the user IDs. You need to create flow field, which then link it to the user table user security ID. And based on that, you'll be able to show those fields into the page. And instead of doing a customization and then writing code to do that, you can utilize the power of the system field for data auditing purposes. Hope that answers the question and you learned something new today. If you did, please do share the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe the channel and press that bell icon because there are quite a few videos that are coming up every day, more or less. and you don't want to miss out on update on those. So thank you. See you next day with the next video.